What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. And if you watched the last episode, we got the exhaust out. But you know what? According to the Man of Steel, it's time to start tackling the removal of the drivetrain. So let's get at it. All right, so checking out the drive shaft, it seems pretty easy. It's only 3 bolts. I got 1, 2, and another one over there. Then up top here, we have the bracket here for the center section, and it should slide out the back, and it should be just that easy. So about 5 bolts to take off, and then we'll have the drive shaft out. As you can see, this thing is pretty new. I mean, holy crap, the labels aren't even dirty. Of course, I want to put a one-piece drive shaft in here, maybe some carbon fiber when it goes back in. I don't know, we'll see. I see it being beneficial, although we're not going to be putting out crazy amounts of power or anything. I just think it's more efficient. In the drift car, I did snap a drive shaft on that once. Right after we first started building it, I took it to the drag strip, set it up for a launch, and when I did, it started wobbling a little bit funny, but I also broke a rear upper joint as well as the drive shaft, but that's neither here nor there. All right, with most things on this car, when it comes to bigger bolts, it appears that this is also a 15mm. So discovering there is a nut on the back of that bolt, and of course the nut is not a 15, it is an 18, and I don't have an 18 wrench. Mother trucker. So these here have nuts on the back. These do not. So this I'm going to remove, and that has, is that 18mm bolt? Yeah, 18mm bolt. Okay, I did all that talking and I didn't even hit record. Okay, so we're going to be taking off these bolts next, which is the center support. I'm hoping that'll give me enough slack and play to disengage it there from the rear, because I do still have one, you're probably not even going to be able to see it. I have one nut up in it. There you go. I have one bolt still up in there that I can't get because we have that wheel down there on the ground. Okay, so even though I'm not a huge fan of this, since I only have the 2 jack stands right now, even though Drew says he doesn't have them, but I know he does, I gotta jack up that rear corner there to turn the wheel to allow us to get the drive shaft position where we can get that last bolt off. I did disconnect the center mount, which I probably shouldn't have done. It's probably gonna make it harder to turn that thing, but I guess we'll find out, won't we? Okay, so you can see we got it rotated around, so I should be able to get this last bolt right here, and then this whole thing here should come out. Since we got this undone, we should be able to slide everything out the back. Wish I felt slightly healthier than I do right now. Also wish I had cardboard or something instead of being lazy with whatever it is that I'm using right now. Break it apart, if I can get it on. Or not. Doesn't look like I can get it on there. Okay. This mother trucker. Why was it that not another single piece of this gave me any issues? But the last bolt is the one that wants to be a butthole. You're gonna give me shit now too? There we go. There we go. Now she's a turning. In the finger twisties now. Alrighty. There we go. All right, now we need to slide down this way and get this bolt out that I had out and then put back in. Oh, there we go. And it is free there. Let's see if we can pull it out this way. No? No, you can't. No. So what I got to do next is I got to get these nuts here Zoom. I got to get these bolts here off the rear of the drive shaft. I've seen somewhere it talks about getting these off first, which probably would have been easier, and then I wouldn't have had to have jacked up the back end of the car. But you know what? We live when we learn, and we do it together as a group. Let's get in here now with the 10mm socket that I had momentarily, and I have now misplaced once again. I don't know how else to do it. I'm sure that I do know how else to do it. I'm just not thinking of it. Oh, wow, that's awesome. Nothing is attached to the end of it. Been down here for a little bit working on it with my mini wrench, and then I realized, you know what? I got an impact with a bunch of extensions so I can get it to an open area. So this is going a lot faster now. So I'm gonna see if I can drop this down, but I'm gonna get you guys out of here so you don't get hit in the head like I will. Well, we got the drive shaft out. I'll show you outside of the car here in a second. I was wrong. I did not hit myself in the head. I just crushed my fingers. We went ahead and put the bolts back up in there like I have been with everything else, just to make sure that I don't lose anything, along with the bracing along the outside. And then up front here we have where the inputted into the back of the transmission. So next thing we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and take out the shifter from this. That way, again, it's just a lot easier when it comes time to yank the engine out this weekend. It looks fairly straightforward, which in most cases it's not. It looks like it's just maybe two nuts right there holding the back end of it up, and then figure out how it links up here. We might even replace this. I'm not really sure at this point. I don't really have a problem with the stock shifter. I know that a lot of people talk, there's a lot of slop with it. I have not had an issue, but maybe I just haven't driven anything that has got a nicer one in it. Who knows? Here's our two-piece drive shaft from Ford. This is a stock drive shaft that comes in the 15 to 20 S550 Mustangs. I don't know why Ford does a two-piece. It looks like there's a lot of areas for potential failure. Like I said, I've only ever had one fail on me, but I assume once you start putting a lot of power to it, you're going to start seeing these things snapping. So I went ahead and disconnected the back end here and dropped down the shifter a little bit. We're going to go ahead and leave it in though, since I'm not exactly sure if we're going to be replacing it or not. Up top here, I dropped the transmission brace, and we pulled out the nut that sat up there. So this section here is free, but it's still attached to the back end of the transmission. So I believe we need to take off this bottom section here to completely disassemble it, possibly. I don't really know. I'm going on the fly. So I started feeling around up in there, and right there at the end of the linkage, if that's what you want to call it, or if that is what it's called, I don't know. I just work on these things. I don't know all the terms. Right there where you can see, if you go straight above the input shaft, right there's where it connected to the back of the transmission. I felt around, there was a 13mm nut up there, or a bolt, and I started messing around with that, and I was able to remove this. It's threaded through part of it, and then the rest of it is a pin, and that's what holds the back of this onto the transmission. So now this here is free and clear, just kind of hanging there for right now, and then we should be good to drop the rest of this, the brace here for the transmission, and unbolt it from the back, and then the transmission will be good to go. Not sure if I exactly want to fully do that just yet, since we're not ready to take it out for another couple days, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe if I put a jack underneath here in the middle, I don't know, but we'll see. I went ahead and I removed the bolts from the transmission mount back here. I'm gonna go ahead and take the whole mount off the back of the trans, and then when I go in tonight, I'll just go ahead and put the extra jack that I have up underneath this to support it right there. It's really not gonna hurt anything, since we're gonna be removing it this weekend anyway. Just one less thing I have to crawl underneath here to do. All right, so we went ahead and we got out the drivetrain today. It was pretty successful. Everything went fairly well. Now we're just kind of set up to take out the engine. I think maybe in the next episode we'll take off a few more body parts, get rid of some of the parts that we have, and then get ready to move the engine. What do you think, Gallardo? Again, he's not very talkative. All right, until next time, guys. Peace.